Two former Meta employees.
Both laid off.
I went from recruiting top engineers at Meta
to building something that actually feels like me.
No safety net, no title, just figuring it out.
And we're done pretending it was easy.
We're Stripped Naked, the podcast for creators, professionals, and entrepreneurs
who are done with the highlight reel.
Raw,
real, rebuilding.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stripped Naked podcast. This is episode 7. I am June Coloriso, career strategist and content creator.
And I am Marissa. I am a premium UGC coach and strategist over here in Los Angeles, California.
Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad that you are here today. If you are tuning in live, please comment. If you're watching the recording, please comment below and tell us where you're from. Today is not a regular episode. Today, we are telling you the naked truth as far as where we're going from here, because you don't see enough of the truth as far as behind the scenes and why we're building this and where we have been and what we have been building and exactly where do we go from here, right? So there's no script, there's no reel, just us having honest conversations about how it's been like building in public. And then we figured out the best way to do this was just to show up in live and just kind of keep it real with you all. So on that note, me and Marissa have been doing this now for 2 months? It's been 2 months, Marissa.
2 months.
On top of everything that we're doing as far as we both are coaches, Marissa coaches of the UGC world and I'm a career coach. So I'm building a portfolio business when it comes to my career coaching business. I'm also coaching for better work as well as doing content for brands. I just actually graduated from UGC Academy a couple of weeks ago, so I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I'm really, I posted an article or a newsletter on Monday talking about, or actually a post about what it's like to build beyond corporate, right? For so many years, and I know, Marissa, you can speak to this, because we're very multi-passionate and we just have so many skills that we can bring to companies. I often felt like I was fitting in the square peg trying to fit into corporate's round hole, right? So I started introducing to my community here on LinkedIn. I think it's very important right now because we see all these layoffs happening is, instead of trying to find the dream role for a dream company and the perfect job description, you may want to look into building a portfolio career. So that's what I have been doing, where I'm building a career based on my strengths and skills that I enjoy, and that's coaching and content creation. So we're going to be showing what that looks like as far as what it looks like to build multiple things at once, and what does that look like from day to day. But what are your thoughts on that, Marissa?
Yeah, I think you landed on that. But before I go actually into me and my thoughts, what has been the structure of what has it like with motherhood, obviously, because you're a mom and your time changes and you're trying to build all these things, what is one thing that you've had to sacrifice a little bit of, or assumptions that people make because you have different responsibilities?
Ooh, assumptions. I mean, what do you mean by that as far as what assumptions people make?
So I'll talk about me and then you can come back as to what it is, what people assume versus what's actually true.
Oh, I have an idea. Okay, go ahead.
So for me, it's like people look at me, and if you look on my socials and you look at that, you see that, oh, she's single. Oh, she doesn't have kids. Oh, she has all the time in the world. She has all this flexibility, but she has no real obligations. But that's not true. What they miss is that, I'm still carrying a full-fledged life. I still have responsibilities. I still have people who rely on me, and who are depending on me. And I have relationships that have taken a hit because of what I am building. I reach out less. I don't go out as much. And they're sending me messages like, where have you been? Where can you go? And it's like, they don't understand what's going on, even when I'm speaking it to them, because I'm not living the normal trajectory of a life of 9 to 5 anymore. I'm no longer available on weekends. Like on Sundays, I used to be able to go out to brunch, and now I'm not going out to brunch because I'm working on my UGC business and flooding that, because the reason why a lot of companies are successful is because they have the structure. They have the bandwidth. People are doing this job and that job, and they meet and they push it out. We don't have that yet. We're building towards that. And it's like, it's the grunt work. It's the dirty work. It's the work of like, oh my God, why does, June have this, and this, and she's doing all these things? Well, because June spent 6 months building all the dirty work, getting her hands dirty, doing the thing that she didn't want to do. And now she's able to breathe. And it's like, I had a conversation yesterday. It's like, we live in a society is like so much of instant gratification that we forget that in order to get gratified, you have to do the work. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get what you're looking for. So it's like, when people don't understand and explaining it, it's like that disconnect. And what I want to do is like, the reason I'm building this portfolio job and like career is because I want to have no regrets. And that is my whole thing. I put a bet on myself, and it's like, and it's the whole entire reason why I'm doing it. And it's like, and it is affecting a lot of things, a lot of different facets in my life. Like, I look at my laundry and it's built up, and I'm like, I don't do that, but it's just the reality of it. Sometimes you have to let something slip in order to succeed in others. And once it levels out, then you can start living that life that you're doing. But it takes work. So that's essentially what's been going on my end.
No, I love that you kind of explained that. Yeah. And like from my end, I feel like a lot of assumptions as a working mom. I mean, everyone tells me from the outside in, they're like, oh my God, you seem like you have all your shit together. I could say that on LinkedIn.
Ducks in a row.
Oh my God, you're here and there, you're managing your business, you're taking your kids to soccer, you're doing, like, you just seem like you have it all together. That's the assumption. But honestly, and especially just, up until from January till now, it has been a struggle. I didn't have my systems in place. And I did feel like, because I was juggling multiple things without any systems and structure. And we talked about this, Marissa, like leaving the corporate world and building things on our own. It's been a little bit messy, right? And for me, because I feel like I started, like I could do it all. I feel like I can. And I was teaching STEP. I was career coaching. I was building my other business that I'm going to be launching soon in the Philippines. And then I realized, yes, it may seem like I have it all together, but I was actually sacrificing a lot of time with my family, And I took a step back, and especially within this past month, I looked at my calendar, and what I've been doing is I've been doing a weekly check-in, seeing, looking at my calendar blocks and all the meetings I've been having. Where does it feel like the energy is just like draining me in my calendar, right? And for me, I felt like it's been hard shifting multiple hats: coaching hat, content creator, mom, wife, right? It's draining, right? So it's not easy, right? And so what I've been learning is the importance of setting boundaries, the importance of, like, what I love about our backgrounds is, we're taking what we learned from the corporate world into how can we be a little bit more efficient as a business owner, right? And for me, what's been working, and I share this in my post, and I'm posting a newsletter about this tomorrow on LinkedIn, is how do how do you build beyond corporate, right? And that's the way you can build effectively is having systems in place. And Marissa, you are the queen of systems. And that's why I love that you like came into my world, because you always remind me, the importance of having structure. And I feel like I've learned a lot from this friendship and partnership, and I'm so thankful, because you also remind me that you need to protect your time for your family too. You need to have dedicated time where you're just a mom, and that's what I've been doing. So
thank you for the accolade of the systems. But even though I am a system, like I love my systems, I still have failed at times with it. Because when I jumped into UGC, I was so full bought in onto like all the skill sets that it takes, and learning how to edit and learning how to strategize and talk to brands in a different way. Because even though I've spoken to people throughout my career, it's always different in a new job, and it's always a different structure. So it's like I didn't build the system since day one. I wish I would have. Looking back at myself, it's like, oh my God, I wish I would have done this since day one and then gone forward. Because to me, I get a lot of anxiety when I don't know what my next task is. Mm-hmm. And I have a long list of things. And now I'm finally into the rhythm of, okay, I need to complete this, and I need to turn it in here, and I need to do that. And when I check it off, it's more like, okay, I have done this. But like running around and like, oh my God, can I do it? Can I not? Can I do it? Like, it was just driving me mad. So, and I will say there's people that flourish, like flying by the seat of their pants and doing it. And then there's people that go by structure. To me, I'm more composed. I can be more present if I know that, hey, okay, I have 20 minutes to focus on this conversation with you, because then I can focus on all these other things and then go from that. It just makes things clear for me. And I've actually had some conversations that say that when they're always like changing and going, they always say that their life always feels chaotic. And to me, I was like, that I can't live underneath that stress.
I can't either, especially now, especially now as we're building multiple things. We're building our UGC business, this podcast community, and so much more. I feel like, and I told you this, like since I started having theme days, and I feel like me and you had really great meetings this past couple of days about what our plans are for the podcast. And I told you, like, I just feel less anxious because I know what needs to get done, I know, like you said, I know, like after this call, after you're my only meeting today, I'm trying to do no meeting Wednesdays except for our podcast recording, where I'm able to catch up on my clients' tasks as far as LinkedIn reviews and resume reviews. That's all I'm doing today, right? And then I have time this afternoon where I'm really going to unplug to be there for my daughter's dance class. And I feel like we're going to get better as we go, right? So,
but that's the thing. It's like, we've already gotten better as we go. Like, I've seen the structure that we've started building out. It's like on the way that you show up to our calls and the way that you're showing up. Because even you messaged me yesterday, like, you're like, I felt great. I had all these calls with my coaching students, and I did all of these things, and I finished my tasks. And now you felt like, oh, I can disconnect and go have dinner.
Exactly.
And it's just like having that structure. And regardless of when you start your business, the first, I want to say, like 6 months is going to be a shit show. Like, I'm just gonna call it out. It's just gonna be a mess, because you are trying to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, how you can show up there. You have pages of things that you have to build up. And a lot of times when you're starting off, you don't have all the means to be like, okay, I can hire you to do it. I can hire you to do it. You have to do it all. So it's just like, it's understanding that you're not going to be perfect and letting go of that perfect.
Yeah.
And as long as you're still showing up and you're doing it with intention and you're forgiving yourself, which I always tell people, forgive yourself for the mistakes you're doing because you're still learning. No one's perfect. Like, look at Steve Jobs. Like, it took him 3 times, to act, and he actually got fired from Apple at one point. So to me, it's like, look at their trajectory and see what they did. And a lot of people get so fixated on when people have reached the peak that they actually forget what's underneath the peak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my favorite analogy is like when you're looking at the iceberg, you only see the tip, but you don't see the bottom.
Right.
You need the bottom is what make the iceberg. So it's just like you have to see that. And people get social media is like, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love social media, but you only see the highlight reel. You only get to see
so
5 to 10 minutes of the person's life, and you think it's picture perfect, but you're not seeing the screaming child in the background. You're not seeing, the partner that's mad at them because they missed another date night, or they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it's just like, or the missed dinners or parties or gatherings, or you can't go to a vacation, and people get their feelings hurt because you're building something. It takes time and effort.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm off. I went on a soapbox there, so sorry.
No, and we talked about like what's cost this as far as like building this in public. What has it cost you?
I've had a couple of really tough conversations with friends, like really tough conversations with friends, of them saying, you're not here, you're not around, like, what's going on? Are we okay? And it's like, we are, but this is what I'm building because I've always had the corporate life. I've always been available. I don't have children. So my schedule is a little bit more flexible. But right now, my UGC business is my child. It is literally my newborn, and newborns take time and they take effort, and they're depending on you for everything. And that's how I kind of broke it down. Some get it, some don't, which is fine, but it's taken a toll on that. Like, I used to speak to my mother every day. Now she understands it because she, like, I actually sat one day and I sat with her on the phone with me, so she saw what I was doing. And now I only speak to her on Sundays because that's the only time I have to really fully be present for that. And I can't wait till when I can go back and like just give her a quick call because I'm not in the middle of the thick of it all to go through that. So it's just like those are 2 things that it has cost me so far, and probably countless of arguments with my partner because of different things, like, why are you still working? Like, what's going on? Even though he's very understanding, but it's still, we used to spend so much more quality time,
Mm-hmm.
So those are a couple of things, like, relationship wise overall. How about you?
I think it's probably the same as far as my family, right? Like, I know, like, last week we were on a meeting and a call for like 2 hours after hours, and my daughter was just waiting for me to get off the call. That's what it has cost me that, right? And now, because I'm realizing that because I'm building a portfolio career on those anchors of career coaching and content creation, I realize that something has to give, right? Like, I used to, I'm not gonna lie, I used to love it when I got compliments from my friends and family saying, you are a super mom, you're just doing everything, right? But that's not really efficient if you're doing everything and you had no time for yourself or your family, right? So then I took a step back and I looked at my calendar and I said, what can I give up? And I love teaching STEP. It is one of my favorite things to do. But then I realized how much time and effort I was putting into my STEP classes. And Mondays were the days that I taught STEP. And I said to myself, Mondays probably the only day where me and my family don't really have any activities. My kids do sports. It's the one day that I could just unplug and just enjoy. We try to sit down and have meals 2 to 3 times a week. So then I looked at my calendar and I said, you know what, I'm going to have to step away from teaching STEP, just so I could carve that time out for my family. And because of that, and I let my community know and everyone's understanding, I just feel good about, that time coming back to me, right? Because I didn't want my family to suffer, I want them to see, like, I tell my kids, like, and my husband, and we've gotten into some arguments too with my husband and I, but now he understands the vision, and like I told you too the other day, he said, like, babe, I just love the fact that you were present. You let me know when you were working and you were present. We were playing like board games, having a meal, where you like, I really felt like because I had themed days and structured days, I was really able to disconnect. And because I received the positive feedback from my family, it's encouraging me to keep the structure and dedicate time for my business so I can be present for my family. So, and then I also let my friends know, I'm very social. I also let my friends know that, I'm kind of stepping away. Like, I'm trying to conserve my time and energy for my family and my business and my self-care. Those are the 3 things that are important to me right now. So,
and that's the thing. It's like, when it makes it easier when you show up, because it reinforces you. Okay, I have to stay here because my family is benefiting from that. But in the flip side, if you do have to skip a Monday night, like, meet like dinner, because something in business came up that you have to attend to, they'll be like, okay, you know what? Mom is working really hard to getting that it's okay that if we don't have a perfect Monday, because she's been so intentional about meeting our needs.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So that's something that it's like, once you get it and you start showing up for the people that, you have to show up to really closely with your family, then they start getting it. And honestly, one thing I actually had to really accept was that some people in your life that are in it right now may fall out of your life because your trajectory isn't aligned. And that's not a bad thing. It's not negative. It doesn't speak badly on you or them. It's just that, guess what? Everybody has a different agenda, has a different path they're going to go through. And maybe you'll reconnect down the line, maybe not. But you're not breaking up with them because they betrayed you or you betrayed them. It's just that life took you in a different path.
Yeah, you're in a different season. And for you and I feel like that's why we came into each other's lives, is we're in this new season of building, right? And we're doing it publicly, which is scary, right? So I would love to hear from you what has been the most scariest part of building publicly. For me, I'll share first. It is the fear of people seeing me fail, right? I feel like it's brave of us to show up on LinkedIn because a lot of our former coworkers, our managers are here on LinkedIn, right? Mm-hmm. And we're building this messy, right? But that's scary, right? It's just have our professional network see us in the most vulnerable moments, right? But the reason why I show up is because I do it for accountability, right? And I also I'm hoping that this podcast shows people that you don't have to have everything figured out, right? You could just build as you learn and go, and that's what we're doing together. But yeah, that is the scariest thing for me, is people seeing me fail, right? Or yeah, but
I agree with everything you said. Another thing that's really scary, and you may agree or not, but it's like we're also still getting to know each other. But it's like we're still getting to know each other. What flows for you? What flows for us? And it's like we've had really heated discussions into like, okay, well, this doesn't align and that doesn't align. And it's like, and we've tested our friendship in ways that other people haven't tested their friendship as quickly as we have. Because I'll be honest, we've had some conversations that people were probably like, I'm done with her. Like, it's done. Like, we're not going further. And that to me, it's like, what I love about our partnership is that even though we're having these tough conversations, we know how to frame it with each other. Like, okay, we know this is going to be hard, but let's do it anyways. Keep it respectful. But then we figure it out. And it's like, we have to be vulnerable. And I think that was a turning point with both of us, is like when we were actually like really vulnerable and showcase, this is who I am. We've actually, it's like the puzzle finally like fit, I feel like, yeah. Like fit together, and it was like, okay, now we level set, and now we understand each other so much more. And a lot of people, it's like, it's the reason why our name is like Strip Naked. You have to remove those faces,
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
layers, and it's like the most successful people are usually the ones that are showing authentically themselves and not trying to hide their flaws.
Yeah, they're not masking, you know,
Mhm.
and I that was one thing that I saw in our notes is what was the most surprising part of this experience. You know, when I met you, I initially thought, oh, we gel so well. We're not going to have any, there's not going to be any disagreements. And then lately, we've been, you know, having some, you know, disagreements, or we, you know, we're learning our, we were learning our, like, we have different leadership styles and communication styles, right? I feel like for you, I know your strengths are you're very systems oriented and detail oriented. For me, I'm a little bit, I'm more like flying with the seats. What is it? What is that saying?
flying flying with the seats off your pants, like you're
Yes, I'm just like, go with the flow. Like, I'm just like, hey, Marissa, let's do this. Let's do this. Like, all these ideas thrown at you, and I feel like, I think we're a really great, like, you're like yin to my yang, right? And I feel like, you know, when we were having these tough conversations, I realized, oh my goodness, like, to your point, I didn't realize, you know, like how, and like the reason why I feel, and you told me this before, like, stop giving me the corporate June.
corporate June.
Why are you doing the just be real with me? And then once I did that, once I stripped the corporate June and stopped masking myself, that's when I feel like I had a breakthrough with this partnership. I told you how I felt, right? And then ever since then, I feel like we're still, you know, we're a work in progress, but I feel like we overcame a lot this past weekend.
I do too. I do too, because it's like, but every relationship takes work. You know, people always say, oh, it's like, you know, you have to take care of your partner, but no, you also have to take care of your friends and your business partners and all of that, because it's a ever evolving, things change, things misalign. And it's like, and if I don't know that, you know, Johnny is hurt and you are like trying to support them and you're trying to hide it from me, and it's like, well, why is June missing here? Like, and you're just trying to hide it. Like, well, why June missed this deadline? June missed that deadline. I'm gonna get frustrated because you're not sharing that with me. And it's like, to me, at that point, then it's like, hey, Marissa, I need to change. I can't make this, and that, because this is what's going on in my life, and we can just repivot. And it's like, okay, I can pick it up, so we can still meet that deadline, or we can still do all those things. It's like, to me, it's like, the more honest you are, even though you may risk the disappointing the other person, I'd rather be disappointed than be left out.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I know where you're coming from, or where I know where anybody is coming from. Because then I can help. I can actually solve the problem versus being left on red and be like, okay, well what do we do?
And I think, like, you know, I think that's what connects us, and this is what, because you're right, with the conversations that we've had, if it was somebody else, they'd be like, I'm done with you, June. Like, I can't handle you. And I told you this before, I feel like the reason why I was so vulnerable this weekend, and maybe that could be a podcast episode in the future, what was going on behind the scenes. But it's because I care about this. I care about our friendship and partnership, and I'm glad that we are figuring it all now compared to like a year from now, right? 6 months from now, we're being real with ourselves. And I think, you know, I think that's what kind of bonded us in this friendship, is we're figuring it out together.
Mm-hmm. We really are. But with that, you know, we've been showing up live, right? And we've been doing it every week except for 1 week that we had to cancel because, you know, it gets messy on that. We are shifting our lives to once a month on that. And do you want to lead into it and then we can talk about why we're shifting to once a month, or would you like me to go into it?
You're already on topic.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, one of the main reasons we're shifting to live once a month is because we figured out that we're going to do our podcast and we want to join it on Spotify. But we also, when we show up here on LinkedIn, we want to bring value. We also want to respect your time from showing up from here. And what we're noticing is that from week to week, there's not a lot of a build enough to give you updates on what we've done, how we're doing it, and all of that. We will be making posts through Strip Naked page on LinkedIn of how we're doing like week to week and talking about that. But we feel that it will be more beneficial and more to you, our viewers, as to like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. Tune in, because we want to respect your time. We know that you have different agendas, different schedules, and you're like, these women want us to show up every week and they're only giving little updates. No, we want to be like, when you show up, okay, we're providing knowledge, we're providing things to actually help you break through while we're going through everything, instead of just stealing your time with just nonsense. That's how I frame. Like, I went to June about it, and June was like, you know what, that makes so much sense. But it also, and June, you can talk about this, it also frees up some of our time, because this takes a lot of work to set up.
For sure. The prep, and Wednesdays are the days I got to pick up my kids because it's minimum days. So.
But it's like, the prep is like making sure we have something to converse about, making sure that the value that we're bringing is worth it for somebody to take their lunch break or their drive in the car to actually listen to us. Like, we were stressing out. I was like, is this important enough? Like, do people really want to hear about this? And some of the talking points that we were having, it was just like, it's good, but it's not like, to us, it was like, we wouldn't join in every week because it's not exactly what we need. And we want to bring value instead of noise. We don't want to be another noise. We want to be an asset for people.
Yeah. But I'm glad that we did this, because we're getting our reps in as far as.
Yes, absolutely. I'm all down for it. So thank you for attorney. Because 8 weeks ago, I was like, I don't want to go live, June.
Look at you now, you're a live pro.
And now so when is our next live?
So our next live, can I share the big announcement?
Of course you can.
So the next live is going to be when Marissa comes to the Bay Area.
Yay.
On June 9th, and we're going to be conducting our first ever in real life, IRL, our first LinkedIn Live in person together. We're going to be meeting in person for the very first time. I know it's so hard to believe that, we've never met in person, but that's the real truth. We've built this great relationship and friendship over Zoom calls and LinkedIn Lives and voice notes through WhatsApp. And I'm really excited. And then that's going to be also our official podcast launch on Spotify on June 9th, which is we're going to share a little bit more about our full plan.
So, yeah, and we'll talk about that on the 9th. We're going to set the date. Actually, the day we launch it will be that Friday. But it's just, we'll get to meet each other. We've kind of been like dating online. It's like the online dating that we've been doing, having the FaceTimes and like the Zoom calls and getting to know each other. But then when we actually meet, it'll be like a full fledged. You're like, oh my God, you're a real person. You're not catfishing me. It is. I say this all the time. It's like, you have to date your friends because it does flourish a relationship.
Right.
And some people may agree, some people may not. But yes, we'll be live. We'll be in the same camera on the same side. There won't be two cameras or anything like that. We'll be in the same room. I'm very excited for it. And we'll be leading up to it. So if there's any questions or anything you guys want us to talk about during the live, we'll be focusing a lot about what is coming. But if there's a question you guys want to drop in, like,
yeah, we'll post the event soon, but you could follow us in the meantime on our Instagram. You could also find us on Spotify right now. Mm-hmm. There is a couple of episodes, I believe. But yeah, I'm so excited to meet you in person next month.
Excited to meet you too. But thank you all for tuning in. And if you didn't tune in now, you're watching the re-recording. Thank you for watching the recording overall. And we will see you on the flip side on the 9th.
Next month.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye. See you next month.